What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Other Side of the Firewall podcast, where we talk about the latest and greatest of cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who've made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, I'm joined by Shannon Tynes.
What's up? What's up?
What's going on? So welcome to the podcast. For those who are tuning in for the first time, Monday and Tuesday are our topics, Wednesday discussion, Thursday's Ask a CISSP. I know I said I was going to push it out last week. It's done. It's ready to go. And I had the thumbnail ready. So it'll go out this week with Mark Christian, and then Friday's everything else, movies, books, games, all that cool stuff. If you're listening to us on the radio, we're on 99.1 FM in the Atlanta metro area, as well as tune in, so you can listen to us anywhere you want to, and you get everything all at once. And then if you're listening to us on, or watching us on channel 10 in the DC Fairfax area, we're on the public access. We're on once a week in same format, except for you might get an interview or you might get a week's worth of episodes. But without further ado, I give it to Shannon.
I gotta tell you something, man. If they were playing, if we were playing on the radio late at night, man, your voice would go perfectly with that, man. It's like midnight soul type radio.
Yeah, we play the Quiet Storm soundtrack in the background.
All right, everybody, let's get to it. So this first article is from Reuters by Christine Chen, and the title of this one is "Hackers Strike Australia's Largest Pension Funds in Coordinated Attacks." All right, so same thing every week, right? We always got some type of cyber attack or something like that, but in this case, it's hitting Australia, right? So what they did was the hackers targeted Australia's major pension funds, right? And it was 4 different companies that they hit, and this is kind of crazy, right? So for me, it made me look this up. I was like, okay, I saw the numbers, and I was like, well, what's the population of Australia, right? 26.77 million. And so when you look at it, right, when you look at the article and they're like, oh, it only affected about 20,000 accounts, they're saying that were affected by this, but the amount of money that are stored, right, in the 4 different companies that are managing the retirement funds is 4.2 trillion Australian dollars, which is 2.63 trillion American dollars, right, for the retirement savings sector. And so the government's like, okay, we can't have this, right? We got to be more serious about how we deal with these things. And actually, Australia actually took steps towards this 2 years ago, or about a year and a half ago, let's say. So it was like November of 2023. They actually took steps to address this, right? And they talk about beefing up their cyber defenses because they had some major breaches back in 2023. And what's weird about it is that they had these breaches when they started working with defense companies in the US and the UK, I believe it was, right? So because of the interagency data sharing, right, between those 2 countries, they got hit pretty hard. They think that was the leading reason for it. And it made them invest $382 million to try to get in the front of these cyber attacks that come to them. So even though this is a major hit to them, and they experienced $500,000 being drained from some balances from one of the I don't want to call it accounts, one of the companies, Australian Super. $500,000 drained from their balances and transferred to other accounts. They've been working at this for a little bit, right? They're trying to, it's a 7-year plan. So it's one of those things where if you're only a year and a half into it, you may be in the infancy of trying to, work out those processes and install the systems that you need to try to get ahead of this. But yeah, they're trying to get ahead of the game. But this is a major thing, especially when it comes to retirement accounts, right? Because with those people that are getting closer to retirement age, especially right now, right, with the way the global economy is going, you have less and less play, and you have less and less time to mess around when it comes to things like this, right? So when money is taken out of their account to the tune of $500,000, right, that's a lot of money for some of these people that, when you get older, you're just not making the amount of money that you are. Let me say this: when you're approaching retirement, you may not be making as much money as you are in your younger years, right? So all the effort that you put into it when you were younger, you don't want that to just be taken away at the click of a button. But Australia's trying to get ahead of it, right? They've even had talks amongst their politicians about reimbursing people for the amount of money that was stolen from them, right? To try to make this better. And right now, again, it's only $500,000 talking about that they have to backfill, but this could be worse, right? This could be one of those things where we're early on in this. Like the first attack wasn't picked up until, I want to say it was 30 March. They said in the article was when they first noticed from one of those 4 companies, and then it was April 4th that all 4 of them confirmed, yes, we did have issues to where we had some irregularities, I should say, right? Because they're not saying that all of those billions of dollars that are being managed were at stake, but they know for sure $500,000 was. But they're trying to get ahead of it. This is why you got to stay on top of these things, right? Because of situations like this, they're finding the soft targets and it was public knowledge that Australia was working on something like this, but they were in the infancy stage. So the 7 year plan that they kicked off in 2023, you still got some time before you get to the full implementation of it, I guess you could say. But Ryan, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I was very surprised by the amount of money spent. It is 587 million in Aussie bucks, kangaroo dollars over here, because the current exchange rate is $1 to 1.5995 Australian dollars. Still, like that's a ton of money, right? So I think this is where this is a crossroads, right? This is where you see good faith and a good idea, right? The path to hell is paved in good intentions meets money. They spent a lot of money to shore up their security, which I appreciate, and I'm glad that they're looking after their people. Obviously, they have the European mindset when it comes to retirement and things of that nature, as opposed to how we do it in the U.S. But that's 7 years is a long time to spend that type of money over that amount of time. Makes me think that they're looking to build something that's very, very robust. However, in 7 years, technology shifts, things change, attack vectors will be different. I just think that's too long of a roadmap, in my personal opinion. Not to say that you should rush, but that almost a decade is your roadmap. I think it shouldn't be any longer. Like I say this with not knowing anything about Australian infrastructure. I just know like it's like Danger Planet over there, right? Like everything you could think of that would potentially harm you lives on one continent. From
Even the cute koalas, they'll kill you, right?
Yeah, koala will beat you down. Koalas hunt dogs. It's crazy over there. I do want to visit though one of these days. But yeah, it's crazy. Crazy. Their wildlife is ridiculous. But I just think 7 years is too long, and I think that this is a telltale sign of that roadmap being just too long in maturation. Right? Like you should, in my opinion, should be half that time. When you spend that type of money, the money should accelerate the process. Again, I don't know what the entire roadmap is. I didn't look into it. You can click on the link, so it does kind of break it down. But in 7 years, we don't know what the world will look like, right? Like it might be a very AI driven world by then. So you're behind the times. Then you have to invest more money and things of that nature, because tax will be more fast and furious at that point. I just think the roadmap was I appreciate that they're willing to invest the money. And I mean, they're spending more money than the U.S. is spending right now when it comes to security, especially in the protection of their citizenship. I just think that they maybe it was because of the amount of money they needed to spread it out over the 7 years. But again, I think a more accelerated path would better protect them. So I'm kind of curious to see what next year and the year after that looks, or if they just shift. They may shift to say, "Hey, we do need to accelerate because of this incident."
But you brought up a good point with the advent of AI, right? Like that's going to make it to where your people that have nefarious intentions, they're getting smarter and it's getting easier for them, right?
Right. Right.
We're gonna touch on that a little bit later in the week too.
Yeah.
AI is.
A little foreshadowing, right? Yeah. The barrier entry is getting easier and easier due to AI's capabilities. Like um, it's leveling the playing field in an unfortunate way. So I just think that roadmap was very, very robust, very much a long path to being secure. Because at the 7 year mark, you would have to invest another whatever that was, or more, right? Because things will shift, or maybe the Aussie dollar will be stronger than the US dollar by that time. The way things are going, who knows? But I just think the intent is there and it's great. And I'm glad to see that they want to protect their citizenship. But I think they should just do it faster. They should accelerate.
Well, remember they're only doing this with the taxes being paid in by only 26.77 million people as well, right? It's like you see all that
Very true.
money and you're like, it's not like they have the 350 million people to pull from like we do in the States, right? So I mean, it may take them longer to like they came up with that plan not because they had it right then and wrote the check right then, right? Their anticipation is
Right.
that over 7 years we can make this 300 or 500 some odd Aussie million Aussie dollars, right? Whatever it may be.
Right. Right. And yeah, so I can see that as well. It's kind of like when you invest in city planning, right? Like you have like, okay, we're going to build this many houses, make this much property tax that we can reinvest to build schools and things of that nature. And then everybody gets mad because the roads are congested and the schools are too small or non-existent.
Because you overshot it, man. Like
Yeah.
we're going through that in Colorado Springs right now. Man. We're over 500,000 people in the city and the surrounding areas. The city was only built for about 250,000, so it's getting crazy out here. So I understand
Right.
that.
Yeah. So we'll see what the future holds for Australia. Like, again, I do like the effort and I like that its focus is on the citizenship and they're actually trying to do something about it. I just think you need to do it a little bit. You need to accelerate the pace a little bit because, yeah, I think the next 5 years is going to be a turning point. Just the rapid pace of both technology and, again, we're foreshadowing, but AI in general is going to be different by that time. But thank you for tuning in. Again, Monday, Tuesday, our topics, Wednesday discussion, Thursdays, Ask CISSP. Definitely check those out. I have one coming up with Mark Christian as well as with Alfredo Nash, friend of the show. And then Fridays, everything else, movies, books, games, all that cool stuff. Hit up all the websites that go by our name, The Other Side of the Firewall, The Other Side of the FW, or Ask CISSP. Personally, I'm at RY Security Guy. That's RY Security Guy. You can find me pretty much on every platform, but LinkedIn is where I'm most responsive. And we all know Shannon's in incognito mode, so no social media presence to be had. Stay safe, stay secure.